Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome to my studio. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make the Maggie Drawstring Bag. This elegant drawstring bag could be filled with goodies or even double as an evening purse. You could also add beads to the drawstrings. You will need 325 yards of number 2 sport weight yarn. We will be using 1 ball of Be So Sporty yarn in colorway Chantilly lace. This is the Be So Sporty bling yarn, which means it's bamboo yarn with a thread of pure silver plied right into the yarn. We'll also be using a size 6 set of knitting needles, which is 4mm. We'll be using a 16-inch circular for the bag, and you have the option of using double points for the cords. This is a bottom-up construction. We're going to cast on at the base and work up to the top of the bag, creating eyelet holes for the drawstring closure. We'll make the drawstring separately and then assemble it all together. Let's get started. In the first video, I showed you one of my favorite tricks for doing long tail cast on. Now in the second video, I'm going to show you how to knit this beautiful slip stitch pattern that gives you this offset detail of a horizontal thread of yarn. So what you're going to do, it's a 4-round repeat. It's basically 2-round repeat, except the pattern is done offset every second row. So the bag was done in the round and my swatch is done in rows. So what I'm going to show you is how to do the slip stitch and then show you how to create the pattern whether you're working in rows or rounds. So the slip stitch pattern is to move your yarn to the front of the work, slip the next 2 stitches to your right hand needle, move the working yarn around those stitches to the back of the work. So now you have that horizontal thread placed in front of those stitches. Move those stitches individually back to the left hand needle and then knit them as you normally would knit those 2 stitches. So now we've done those 2 stitches. The next 2 stitches is to just regularly knit them, and that's the 4-stitch repeat. Yarn to the front, slip the 2 stitches to the right hand needle, yarn back to the back, slip the 2 stitches back to the left hand needle, knit those 2 stitches, and then knit the next 2 stitches regular. We'll do that again. And we'll do it again. And that's what you'll repeat on the stitch pattern row or round, regardless of whether you're working in rows or rounds. The only difference is when you're working in rows, you're going to do the wrong side row with purl, and to do that in the round, you'll do 1 even round of knitting. And so this technique of the 2 slip stitches and the 2 regular knits alternate every second round. Next, I'll show you how to do the round with the eyelet holes for making the spaces to be able to thread the drawstrings through. And this pattern is very simple. It's knit 4, yarn over, and knit 2 together. I'll show you again. Knit 4, yarn over, and knit 2 together. You want to repeat that all the way around. On the following round, you will knit the yarn overs as though they are regular stitches. Above the eyelet rounds is the necklace top of the bag, and this is done in a very simple textured combination of stitches with knit and purl, and the repeat for this pattern is knit 2, purl 2. So we'll now knit the first 2 stitches and purl the next 2 stitches. We'll do that again. Yarn to the back to knit 2, and yarn to the front to purl 2. And you want to refer to your written pattern for the placement of your knit 2 and purl 2 for this section of the pattern. The pattern calls for binding off in pattern, and what that means is as you're binding off, you want to work the stitch as it's presented to you. So our last row of stitches is knit 2, purl 2, so you want to bind off doing the stitches as you see them. What that means is we're going to knit the first stitch because it's a knit stitch, the next stitch is a knit, we'll knit it, and then pass the first stitch over the second stitch. That's our bind off. Now our next stitch is a purl, so we're going to move our yarn to the front, purl that stitch, and then bind off the stitch prior. The next stitch is positioned as a purl stitch, so we'll purl that one as well and then bind it off. The next stitch is a knit, so we'll move our yarn to the back so that we can work the stitch as it's presented. So it's a knit stitch, we're going to knit it and bind off. So you're going to bind off in pattern, meaning whatever the stitch is that you're about to work into, you want to do the same stitch as it's presented to you. So you're going to knit 1, bind off, knit 1, bind off, purl 1, bind off, purl 1, bind off. And you want to do that all the way around and fasten off. Next, I'm going to show you how to make these I-cords. You're going to need 2, and you'll refer to your written pattern to see how long they need to be. We're going to start with a slip knot. You can do this on double point needles or a circular set of needles. I'm going to show you on circulars today. We're going to wrap the yarn around our fingers, pull a loop through the loop, and tighten it onto our knitting needle. I'm going to place it in my left hand, and I'm going to increase 3 stitches from the one by working a knit into the front, back, and front again of this loop. So we're going to wrap our yarn over the front, place it on our right hand needle, then work into the back of the same stitch and place it on our right needle, then work into the front again of that same stitch and place our 3rd stitch onto the right hand needle, and then we can slide this loop from our left hand needle off. Now the beauty of I-cord is that right side is always facing, and so that's by either sliding your stitches to the opposite end of a double point needle, but it also can do the same thing on a set of circulars. You're just going to slide those 3 stitches to the opposite end and knit all 3 stitches. Okay, and now instead of turning our work, we're going to take all 3 stitches and slide them to the opposite end of the circular needle and knit all 3 stitches. Make sure you use your working yarn and not your tail. Every couple of rows I like to pull on the work, not hard, but just a little bit, just to keep the stitches going in the right direction. You could weight it down, but it's not necessary. Giving it a little bit of tension as you go keeps everything nice and smooth. So I slid my stitches to the opposite end of the circular, and again, if you were using double points, you would just slide them to the other end of the double point needle as well. And you're going to make this I-cord as long as you need it to be. And then on the last row, we're going to knit all 3 stitches together and bind off the last stitch. I'm going to remove the drawstrings from the bag so I can show you how to put them back in. Okay, so when you're done with the bag, it's going to look like this with the drawstring holes, and you want to sew the bottom edge. It's a tube when you just knit it, so once you fasten off, you'll want to take that long tail from the beginning to sew up the bottom edge. Once you do that, it lays flat, and so instead of being a tube, it does have a specific right and left side now. So you want to take one of your drawstrings and starting from one side, start right from the edge where it's folded. And you want to weave this in and out of those eyelet holes. And you want to do this all the way around till you get back to where you started. Okay, so we're back to the hole right before the last one, or the first one. Okay, so then we want to lay it down flat again and ease this around to try to keep our tails the same length, and we'll do a quick overhand knot. You could tie it into a square knot if you prefer, doesn't really matter. Anything to just keep it from falling out when we stretch the bag open. You don't want these to come undone. So now we want to insert this I-cord from the opposite end, but in the same way. So we want them to be on the outside of the bag here, on the inside of the bag here. So you want to make sure you see where the actual opposite side is, so it starts and ends at the opposite corner. And you can see that that's this one here. So we're going to insert the cord into the same hole that it's inserted into there and work this in and out just like we did the other one. But you want to make sure that it's right side facing and wrong side facing at the same holes as the first cord. And do this all the way around. There we go, we've made it all the way around. So now we'll ease our cords around so that it's even. You want them to be roughly the same length, and as they are, we'll tie these into a quick little knot. Okay, and then we have our finished bag. And what's so cool about doing a drawstring this way is that when you pull on both sides, it cinches the bag together. The Maggie Knit Drawstring Bag is available in 80 Handmade Gifts book. You can order an autographed copy from my website, or you can order an instant download of the single pattern, and you can also order a hank of Be So Sporty bling yarn. For those of you that don't know me, I am an author, designer, entrepreneur, single mom, and a teacher. I hand dye and sell many beautiful yarns. I'm the author of dozens of crafting books and hundreds of free patterns. Have you seen my YouTube channel? There you can find hundreds of how-to videos on knitting, crochet, crafting, cooking, DIY, jewelry making, and so much more. I also host a live stream podcast on my YouTube channel 6 days a week. You can join me live at sunrise at the beach. It's so much fun. It is called Create, Share, Inspire Podcast. I do hope you can join us. Ask Me Anything live. It's a lot of fun. I also have a charity, Project Kristin Cares. A portion of every sale from my brand supports survivors of domestic violence. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.